Welcome, welcome, beautiful soul seekers and cosmic explorers. Are you ready to ignite your inner fire and tap into the limitless power of your being? Welcome to Soul Empowered Insights, the podcast that's here to fuel your mind, nourish your body, and elevate your spirit to new heights. I'm Kristie Callahan, your guide on this beautiful journey of self-discovery and transformation. We will dive deep into the realms of empowerment and enlightenment and uncover that magic that resides in you. So get ready to unlock the secrets of the universe, harness the energy of the cosmos, and embrace the full potential of your soul. Each episode will be serving up a potential blend of ancient wisdom, modern insights to help you thrive in every single aspect of your life. I will have different perspectives, introduce some special guests, and you know what? Even sprinkle a bit of laughter along the way. So grab your crystals, light your sage, and let's embark on this epic adventure together. Get ready to expand your mind, strengthen your body, and awaken your spirit. Welcome to Soul Empowered Insights. Hi, welcome back to another edition, an episode of Soul Empowered Insights. I am your host, Kristie Callahan, and I am so excited to have my own personal guest named Lydia Suarez McNulty. Lydia is a lifelong educator, advocate for personal and professional growth. She has founded her own personal coaching business to make a meaningful difference in lives of others. With years of experience guiding individuals through challenges and transitions, she has a profound understanding of how to empower people to unlock their potential and create fulfilling lives. She is the visionary behind her business. She is partnered up with her daughter, Laura, a certified coach with a background in psychology. Laura is also a certified yoga instructor. She is a Reiki healer. She brings in that dynamic, holistic approach to their wellness program. Together, they have built a thriving coaching practice that blends in Lydia's wisdom with leadership. And then Laura has this modern integrative methods focused on the mind, body, and wellness. How awesome is that? So together, their business has made so much significant impact with, this is really cool. They work with schools. They've worked with tons of private businesses and organizations to deliver a tailored coaching program that's going to impact wellness in the workplace. Their approach fosters clarity, confidence, self-appreciation while addressing the unique needs of individuals and teams. Their mission is rooted in the belief that everyone has potential to lead a balanced and purposeful driven life. So I welcome you, Lydia, today. I am so excited that you're here with me. So how are you doing today?
I'm great. Kristie, you sounded you made me sound so fabulous there.
You are
But
so fabulous.
can you read that again? I loved it. Thank
You are
you.
so fabulous. So, Lydia, I've been looking forward to this episode for quite some time because that calm in the chaos, and we're going to talk about that, but we are so connected. And I don't really know if my listeners even know my journey of being in the school system for 23 years and taking that leap and doing the work because we're all here of service. Teachers are service and healers. And I always say that to my my students on the spiritual realm and coaching. But just tell me a little bit about, your time in the public school system and how you transitioned into this coaching business.
Well, it's incredible how we are so connected, and we really do believe a lot of the same things. And it's amazing. And I'm not surprised that we both came from the public sector and education. And
God.
for me, it was such an easy transition because for almost 30 years, I was coaching, right? So I'm helping and coaching students and their parents, their families, siblings, teachers, my colleagues. As things are happening in the building, you don't just look at things in a box, right?
Mhm.
So I've always understood that when I'm working with a child about his math grades, and I was in a high school, right? Yeah, I'm working, talking to him about his math grades. It's not really just about the math grades. It's about what's happening at home. Did he break up with his girlfriend? Is something happening with dad or mom? Is he getting in trouble outside of school? So it's never just one thing. And so that's why it was so easy for me to transition into life coaching and then into this calm in the chaos and working with people in corporate and private sectors and public sectors, because it is all the same thing. It's not just about not having a good relationship with your boss or your boss being really annoying. What's happening with your boss? How is it that you're interacting with your boss? How is it that you're
Mm.
seeing your boss, right? And then what's your boss going through at home? And it just spirals. So it was really an easy transition because it's all the same. We just don't have to put things in a small box of this is what we're looking for. Let's figure out the problem. It's always so much bigger.
Yeah. And my hat's off to educators right now. And you know, being in the public school system, I was a middle school teacher and then coach, but 22 years, those teachers, you pour your heart into all those kids that come through your classroom. And like you said, there's so many tasks or levels or responsibility. It's just not teaching them math or teaching them science. You're right. You do make those connections and relationships. You are asking about how things are at home. You're finding out if have they been fed today? You
Right,
know, are they going home with mom or dad? So, I mean, the social emotional aspect that really is not talked about. I always feel like teachers get the bad rap. We are
right.
really, caring for these kids at a deeper level besides just the academic piece.
No, what I used to
So
share with my teachers is don't worry, don't everyone's in the same situation. Just remember that 50% of the curriculum is coming with them in their backpack. And
yes.
that backpack is everything in their life. And
Yeah,
that's difficult to process for someone not in education, but I know you get it.
I do.
Mhm.
So I think I think if someone's listening right now and they're feeling stuck, I see it's a stuck,
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
feeling unfulfilled in their job, not necessarily maybe in the school system, because we have that background. And I feel
Right.
like, the thing about, I'm just going to say it. The thing about this public school system, I always hear teachers saying, okay, I've got 5 more years until I could go.
I know.
Or, and you know this, but I can't
Mhm.
retire right now
Right.
because this, and this, and this. And I think that goes with any kind of structured system that, they have all these reasons why they can't follow their purpose and their joy. So I guess my question to you is how would you share with someone who is might doubting making that leap or not trusting that maybe something is calling them out of a stuck
Right. Right.
workplace.
And I guess that's a really tough decision for people to make, right? Because the
Yeah.
reality is there is a mortgage, there are children in school, there's
Yes.
college that they have to save up for, they need the car and the transportation, right? So there's that reality. The reality is, wait a minute, I can't just pick up and leave my job
Right.
because I
Right.
have this to do and that to do, and I have a life, right? And we have bills, and eggs are now $9, for a dozen, right?
Yes.
It's in that. I think that's the last thing I heard. But the reality is what we have to do is really be introspective, right?
Mm.
What is it that's bringing us joy? what's really bringing us joy. And that doesn't mean that we go in and we tell that boss that we're resigning tomorrow. That means put a real plan in place. That means
Mm,
really think about what it is that means something to you and
yeah.
have a plan. And when I say have a plan, I don't mean go grind and go in there. And some of it may feel like a grind, but you really need to look within what makes you happy and start writing about that. How about
Mm.
start journaling, really envisioning what it would look like to have that perfect life and still pay the $9 for the eggs, right? And be
Yeah.
able to have that money to do that. But really think about what would make you happy and start journaling, planning, manifesting. I know that's a big word for people, but
Yeah.
it's manifesting is not just dreaming big. Manifesting is real work and really envisioning where you want to be. And I say start there. And I'm going to be honest with you, and we didn't even really touch on this. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I did this. I was doing this work for almost 30 years. And although I was helping so many people and children, there was so much paperwork that got in the way, right? I was in charge of
Yeah.
testing. And when if anybody knows about, public school testing, it takes up the majority of your time. So when someone wanted to come in to see me, I mean, and I would never say no, right? So it's
Yeah.
okay, he needs me, and then she needs me, or a teacher needs me, or my colleague needs me, and I can't be a no person. So then I would find myself working from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night to make sure the bureaucratic stuff got done. So what I did was really looked in and said, what do I want to do? And didn't happen overnight. It took about
Hmm.
3 years for this dream to come true. And then I did retire early so that I can do this. So that's what I
Yeah.
would recommend to everyone is just to really look within what makes you happy. What is it that you're doing now in your job that you can see in your future that not only is bringing you success to buy the eggs, right?
Yeah.
Or to pay those bills, but to bring you success in here. It's always a feeling. What good feelings
Lights you up.
come out of your future self?
And I spoke of this before we went online here, that I believe everybody here on this planet right now has a purpose, has a unique gift.
Yeah.
And just ask yourself. And I think, I've talked about this on many of my podcasts, and I will continue to talk about it because it keeps coming up.
Right.
But,
Mhm.
everything is here within, and just kind of quiet, find a time to quiet and just listen to what is calling you
Right. Right.
inward,
Right.
because we have everything we need in here. We're always chasing for
Absolutely.
the outside for that happiness, the relationship, the car, the job, the money. Um,
Absolutely.
but once we start to nurture the in, and once we start to feel everything is here, we are abundant in all those areas here,
I
then
love that.
that manifestation or that awareness, as we talked about, or that perspective, you start to be a magnet to all of those things that you truly
Right.
desire and that are
Right.
meant to be.
Right.
So I love those tools. Other thing I want to ask you. I've done Reiki before I transitioned out of the public school system. I was bouncing around. I'm a bouncer. So if anyone knows me, I've been six schools, maybe seven. Um, every 6 years when I was a middle school teacher, I was like, all right, I've taught all the grades, I've done all the things. I'm gonna move on. And then I'd start again with a whole new group of people and a whole
Mhm.
group of kids. And I think for my journey, I was always seeking that external,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I finally, COVID came, and then I got my Reiki attunement, and I kind of came back into my spiritual side that I've always had, but it just kind of hid it behind closed doors. And I started doing Reiki shares in my building. And I started to express about mindfulness and practice in the public school system. And that's what they needed at the time. I
I
was an
love that.
instructional coach. Yes, I could have gone in and taught them differentiation and formative assessments and all the
Mhm.
things that, the testing, let's prepare for testing. But
Mhm. Mhm.
that's not what my school needed. So I was guided to do the holistic approach, because that's meeting where people are at, right? Meeting
I
where
love
students
that.
are at. that. So
Right,
I was
right,
meeting them where they needed to be. And I was really lucky that I had an administrative that were supportive of that because they also need it. So they're like, yes,
right,
I
right.
want what you
We
have to
all
offer,
do. We all
Kristie.
need it. Right.
So knowing that, just I want to hear what your tools are in Calm the Chaos. I know that you go into public schools, you go into correctional centers, jails, right? And you are bringing in these techniques and tools to bring in that calm. So just can you walk me through a little bit of how that works with your business, with you and your daughter?
Thank you. So I guess what we do really is what I've done for years, right? And I know you mentioned jails. We have had meetings with the correctional facilities here in New Jersey. We've met with chiefs of police from different areas. We have actually done our workshops at different schools. We've done it in corporate settings, private settings. We've really touched on so many different settings to teach people how to, we all have the tools, right? So we
Mhm.
all have the tools. It's just how do we find those tools? I think we have the tools in a big messy box, right? But how do we use them? So that's what we do. We come in and we teach people on how to utilize the tools that are already within us. And we say that with our coaching. Embrace the light within. The
Mm.
power is within you. Embrace the light within. And that's our motto. So, what we do time and time again is we go through with every single client we have. And again, it doesn't matter if you are the superintendent of schools, principals of schools, teachers, custodians, security guards, police officers, corrections officers. It doesn't matter. We all have the same issues. We go
Yeah.
into a situation and we immediately say it's either good or bad.
Hmm.
Once we label something good or bad, it's very difficult for us to move forward. What we need to do is stop judging the situations we're dealing with and make sure that when we're looking at a situation, know that you cannot control the situation. You can only control how you're reacting to it, how
Yeah.
you're seeing it. Some of the things I like to share with clients is let's not call it a problem. Let's call it a challenge. And when we
Mm.
have a challenge, we're going to create a solution to that challenge. And then I share different ideas and different language, and we use empowering words. And I'm sure you've heard this before, right? Don't say, I have to go to work. Say, I get to go to work, right? Those are, as long as you learn how to change the language with any situation you're in. And those are some of the tools we help people with.
I love
Really
that.
changing the perception of what's in front of you. Once you can do that, then everything else can flow because then we teach people how to communicate effectively. Communication, a lot of times when you're having a disagreement or you really just are unsure of what someone else is saying, you're trying to just win a
Mm.
conversation. You're trying to prove what, but that's not what communication is supposed to be about. Communication is supposed to be solution based. So we
Mm.
teach people how to find that solution based conversation and not worry about being right or wrong because it's not right or wrong. We all want the same solution. How are we going to come up with the answer?
Mm. I
So those are
love
just
that.
some of the tools and some of the things that we touch on.
I love that. So I'm hearing like, just shifting that perspective. I feel like just, you know, those limiting beliefs and looking
Right,
things in a scarcity mindset, more of an abundant mindset, and knowing that we're
right,
all trying to make the best of the situation of
right, right.
at bay or challenge, as you say. And what would be some of the limiting beliefs? Because that's what's coming through now is this limiting beliefs or this
Mhm.
limited expectations. Because I know in the school system, and because I've also been there, I'm just know from my own experience, it's so easy to get caught up in that negative, like, everything's energy. So you can easily be sitting in making copies and someone comes in and they're just complaining and ugh, like I have to do this evaluation or I have to do this checklist and going back to testing whatever that is or
Right, right,
Johnny came in today and he's in a bad mood, like again going back to all those responsibilities. It's so easy to get caught up
Right.
I was always the sunshine committee. I was always the one to be like, no, no, let's turn it around, let's flip it
Right.
around
Right.
and
Right.
look at a different perspective. Look at the solution. Do you want to stay in that negative vortex or do you want to switch it around and
Right.
look at a different perspective? And maybe why is Johnny, all of those things. So I guess it's that mindset and perspective. And what are some ways or some limiting beliefs that you work with in the, corporate life that people come in that's common that you might see like, hey, let's turn this around and see it from a different perspective.
So what I see that's so common is someone believing, and I'll give you an example, their boss. Well, he's this way and he's that way and he's never going to change. And it's so frustrating. And I just had a client was really one of those really great successes, but really frustrated with her boss. And her boss can really be challenging, right? So instead of her, what I shared with her, instead of really going into a meeting and saying, and this is what she would do every single day, she would say, I'm going to go into this meeting, but I know he's such a jerk and he's never going to change the way he's talking to me. And he's so condescending, but I'm going to go into the meeting and I'm going to do what I have to do. So, what we worked on for the last couple of weeks is why don't you go into the meeting and say, it's going to be different this time?
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on at home for him, but I know I'm in a better place. And I know that going into this meeting, it will be different. And when you go into a situation believing that it's going to be different, you would be so surprised at how different it is. And the reason that happens is not a mistake. It's because you're going in with a different energy. Remember, life is energy, people are energy. So when you're going in with, he's such a jerk and he's this and he's that, the energy's there.
Yeah.
Whether you're saying it or not, he's feeling it. Right. And so now there goes that meeting again. You have put into the energy and you went to that real low level, put it out there, and now it's proving itself to be true all over again. But now, if your real belief is that it's going to be different, he's going to hear you, he's going through his own issues that have nothing to do with you. You're
Mm.
going into this perception with a different perception. It really does change the energy of the
Love it.
meeting. And now
Yes.
he is feeling something different. And of course, he's going to react to you differently. And so I always say to my clients, it's like ping pong, right? So if you're slamming the ball, guess what? Your person's going to slam the ball right back to you. No,
True.
it's just nice and smooth. Let's keep it smooth. And there's so many things that we go over with our clients. Literally was like, this is unbelievable. It's really working. And
Yeah.
when someone,
Simple.
it's very simple. Your boss doesn't call you back right away, or you send them a text the night before. The first thing some people do is they must be upset with me. They must be
Mm.
angry with me. No, switch it. Immediately change that mindset and say, oh, he must be busy. He'll get back to me as soon as he can. As soon as that happens, your day becomes better because now you let go and you released all of that negative energy. And so when you do speak to him, it's not going to be like, oh, finally he got back to me. I know he's mad at me, but he had to do it. So it really is how I help people understand how to show up.
I love that. I love that because I believe the energy that you put out does mirror back to you in some degree. And
Absolutely.
just believing that, for an example, if you ever have like a bad day, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have a bad day. And then all of a sudden things start happening. But if you could just catch yourself and say, oh, I'm gonna turn this around, I'm gonna have a good day. Or, I was a big believer things happen for a reason to kind of pause and let you to kind of reevaluate your mindset and
Right,
what
right,
the energy you're putting out. Because,
right.
I love that because there's going to be those people that are going to be challenging. It's just
Of
the
course,
way life is. But
of
if you
course.
can turn it around.
And something I also share with my clients, because it is frustrating sometimes to say that, and I don't say this, when people hear, "Oh, just be happy that you have a job. Oh, it's going to be fine." It's that really, I don't like to call it. That's what people call it, is like that toxic positivity.
Yeah. Hmm.
that's a real thing. When someone is going through something, the last thing they want to hear is like, oh, it's going to be fine. Just there are real steps that you have to take. And in coaching, we take them through all of those steps. They're
Mm,
not going to meet with me. And I say this to them, one meeting with me is not going to change your life. I
right.
also don't want to be meeting with you for 5 months
Right.
because that means something's wrong, right? So there are, I like to say, depending on the goal that that person has set for themselves, I like to say we work together between 6 and 8 times, the most, on that goal.
Mm,
6 is usually okay, but then the 7 and 8 is just follow up. But
mhm.
really, you don't want any more than that goal because that means you're not doing the homework.
Yeah.
Right. And every single client, whether it's a one-on-one client, whether it's a group or a workshop, everyone leaves with homework. And you have to practice it. If you don't practice it, it's like with every other muscle, it's not going to develop,
Right.
right? It's not going to develop. So it's really practicing what it is that we teach you in order for you to take away and win, because really you just want to be healthy and be successful.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
there must be some sort of readiness too. Do you feel like they have to be ready to make the implementations and the changes? We could sit there and tell people over and over
100%.
again what
Oh,
to do, but they also have to have some ownership of their own transition and their own goals.
oh my goodness, Chrissy, you really just hit that right on the head. I have people that are very close to me in my life that I absolutely adore, and I try to coach them, right? I have clients that are paying really good money, right, to take my advice, and they're really successful at the end of our time together. And then have people that I really love, and I try to coach. And it's not going to work ever because you said it perfectly. If they're not ready, they will not get it. So the people that are coming to me and that really make the appointments and follow through, they're successful. But if I try to push myself onto someone that I love,
Yeah.
it's not going to work because they haven't said to me, I'm ready and I'm ready to do the homework and I'm ready to get better. So I can try with all the love in my heart to really give them the advice, but they're not going to follow through. So I love that you said that because it took me a long time to even realize that because I'm like, oh, when you love someone, you really want to help them.
You just want
And
to help
you
them.
know that you have the tools to help them and they just don't want to hear it and they stay in that negative state and that negative energy and I don't see them succeeding the way they can succeed, but they're not asking for the help, so I just have to zoop,
Yeah, you just have
and
to
just
kind
be
of
there to
step back
support them
and be
and just
there
support,
and
right,
meet
and just
them. I
be
would
there.
say meet them where they're at, and meet
Absolutely,
them where they are.
absolutely, yeah, it took a long time for me to get there though, but I love that you said that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, it's funny. Something else came through when you were talking earlier, because I remember in the classroom we're talking about energy and how you can,
Mhm.
we're all energy beings. Our emotions are energy and how we could react to them or not react. But the kids, kids are funny. They know. You don't have to say a word. I'm just thinking like time, if they know when you're in a bad mood, they
Oh,
know
for
if
sure,
something is off because they read your energy. They
for
would know, like,
sure,
Miss Callahan, what's up with you? You're kind of quiet.
for sure, for
So
sure,
I think, just being observant and having those relationships, you can read the room and read the energy,
right.
regardless if you're an empath or sensitive to energy. So I love that you just called it out to like approach it in, you know, a higher frequency. I think of things in like frequency ways.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I know we have like Wi-Fi, but we all are energetic and connect, and we are always putting out energy to others. And kids are funny. They can call you out on it. They have no filter.
They have no filter. Absolutely. Absolutely.
They will just call it out. But I remember we had a conversation about going into, I want to go back to yes, we can talk about the school systems forever, but I just love the idea that you and your daughter have done this calm and chaos workshop with the correction officers and tell me a little bit about, like, I know you went in and they're like, oh, this stuff is a bunch of baloney. I don't do this. You got the naysayers who just
Mhm, mhm.
don't, the skeptics that are like, I don't believe in this stuff. This isn't me. And then, after your workshop, you have them in a calm, meditative, you have them meditating. And,
Mhm.
I just think more workplaces, I think it's beautiful what you're doing. I think more workplaces, and I'm talking about the jail as one example, but any workplace will benefit from having that mindful practice or just a way that you can quiet and calm and sit back from the chaos for a minute and allow things to kind of ease by.
Absolutely,
Let the
absolutely.
energy current kind of pass by and kind of come back in with a clear mind, clear heart, centered approach.
Right, right, absolutely. And so, what we did when we spoke to the leadership team at the corrections facility, these are all, hardwired to believe that this is how we have to do it.
Hmm.
This is the way it's done. And our corrections officers are not going to be able to hear this. And remember, these are all leaders. So they were all corrections officers. So they have
Mm.
been in the trenches. They know. They have been police officers. They have been sergeants. They have been lieutenants. They have been chiefs. They've done it all. Those are difficult jobs. Those jobs are, really, you're never going into a warm and fuzzy situation, right? When you're in these situations, you're not never really dealing with people that are happy and are on having their best days. Most of the times, these people are having their worst days, and that's when you're showing up. And when you're in a correctional facility, you're dealing with people that have already had their worst days, and now they're just on hold until they're going to prison or going to
Mm.
court. So what I like to share with them is that, again, it's the same message all the way through. You cannot control what's happening around you. You can only
Mm.
control how you're reacting to it. So when you go into a difficult situation or you're handling a difficult person, how is it that you're speaking to them? How is it that you're going to take yourself away from their energy? Because remember,
Mm.
their energy is already affected. So, how is it that you're going to protect your energy? And while you protect your own energy and keep your own energy stable, help them lift their energy and be okay and feel safe in your presence.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. These people are not trusted. These beautiful police officers and corrections people and security guards, they're not trusted right now in our society, and they have families they have to take care of. So they're just getting the brunt of all of this
Yeah.
anger from our communities in and out every day. And now they're expected to go home and maybe help their 9-year-old bake cookies for, the next day's birthday party. That's difficult. So that's
Hmm.
something else that we do is we help them not only stay calm in the chaos for that moment, but be able to stay free and calm away from their job to be able to bring something positive home. Leave
Mm.
what you have to leave at work so that you can protect your family. Because now not only can it affect you at work, right? If you're angry
Yeah.
here, now you're going to create anger with the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go home and that anger is going to stay with you. And now you can,
Take it out on some.
unwillingly,
Yeah.
or you're hurting your partner, your children, your family, your community at home because you're so frustrated. So
Yeah.
those are things that we do, and part of the workshop at the end is leaving the stress at work,
I love
being
that.
able to transition to your home life so that you're not affecting your home.
Yeah, because I know I've been there. I think we're human, we've come home and
We all
having a
have,
bad
right?
days and then I got to go home and cook dinner for my family. It's like you have two different lives. You have a life
Right,
at work and then you come home and you have to like make sure that you are available and present. And
right.
I think having that awareness is the first step. And then getting all the tools that you have to provide so they can ground and protect and
Absolutely.
not take, as you said, like the backpack home.
Right. And not take it out
You
on your
know?
family. And then some people do a really great job masking it, which is even scarier. So
Yeah.
that they are baking the cookies or they are going to the PTO meetings. But guess what? They're having
Internally,
too
their
many
struggle.
cigarettes, or they're having some wine, and that one glass of wine turns into two glasses of wine, and then three glasses of wine. Now it's a bottle of wine, and
Yeah.
now it's a pack of cigarettes because they need to mask all of that pain and all of those negative
Mm,
feelings in order to just survive. And
yeah.
so we talk about that too during our workshops, so our workshops are really deep, so when we do our workshops, we don't ever want anybody sitting in rows. We sit in pods because
Oh,
we have real conversations. And then, as you know, we're not talking the whole time. And as people, we pose questions, we give them scenarios. And then Laura and I, again, because we're certified life coaches, we walk around and we have them give us real life situations. And then in front of their pods with their people, because they're all dealing with the same things, we give real advice and real help and have them come up with their own solutions to the problems. And so this really does help because now they're helping each other,
yeah.
right? And now they don't feel alone anymore because these conversations aren't conversations that happen organically about
Hmm.
how they're hurting or how they're not the best at what they do or how they have to have that bottle of wine in order to survive at home. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So we force those conversations so that they know they're not alone.
And it sounds like, and with my coaching and I experience too, you're leading them to come
Right,
up with the solutions that they already
right,
have. They just aren't
right,
available to see it the most of
right,
the time because it's masked or because they're so stressed or they're in their heads and they're not grounded or they're consumed by this, you know. And trust me, I know, and you saw that. I think of like an irate parent storming in,
mhm,
going back to the school, or just, or an inmate
mhm, mhm,
saying something really terrible that's not true because they're
mhm,
reactive. We hold on to that,
mhm,
right? Like
right.
I can think of a time a parent, and I'm really sensitive and I try to be the peacekeeper and really be very open with communication, but you're going to have that irate parent coming storming in, for whatever reason, something that
Right.
you know nothing about. It could have happened on the bus stop. It could have happened in so and so's classroom, period 3, or at lunch, or,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
it's coming at you. So let's talk about that, like how we hold that energy and how to kind of stay calm when you have an irate situation. And I'm just going to say, like a parent who's going to say, Kristie is right, you're wrong. So
Mhm.
why is she in the wrong when she's
That's a
right?
question that comes up. That's a question that comes up so often, and I'll make you laugh. Right before I left, in the last 2 to 3 years, my colleagues would say I was always my office was on the third floor, and my colleagues would say, "Get the coach down here. Just get her down here," because it is difficult. That's not an easy thing to do. When someone is yelling at you and someone is cursing at you and they are irate, it's really difficult not to take that personally. So, what we teach people to do is to really remember, but remember, this doesn't happen overnight. So, it's not like I'm saying to someone, oh, just, remember, it's not about you. It's about them. There's real practice that goes into this. But the reality is, the more you practice that and the more you understand sincerely, and it's easier said than done. But once you practice, when that person comes in, we need to look at that person a little differently, right? That person that's irate and not does not have the tools to communicate what it is they want. Why can't we look at them and say, this person is hurting?
Mm,
This person is hurting, and that hurt is coming out as anger. And that
mm,
anger is now being pointed at me.
mm,
That has nothing to do with me. It really has everything to do with them. My job is to make sure they're not hurting anymore when they're leaving this building. And
mm.
that's really how I look at it. And I
Love
did
that.
help people understand that in my building because it really has nothing to do with them. But we have to look at it a little deeper. Why is
Mhm.
that person screaming? Why are they yelling? They're hurting about something.
Yeah. I always think that anger does cover up sadness. I always think anger, sadness, hurt, right? Hurt
Hmm.
people. You might have heard that. Hurt people, hurt people. I don't know.
Right,
I felt like
right.
I don't go by that motto, but I've heard that
Hmm.
before. So even
No,
if
but
you
it's
kind of,
true.
if you look at that in that
Hmm.
perspective, it's
Hmm.
just a game changer.
Right.
And
But remember, emotion and feeling is different, right? And
yeah,
reaction and feeling is different. So everybody's feeling something. You feel something, and when you feel something, you have a reaction to that feeling, right? So
yes,
when I'm sad, it could come out as anger, right? If you hurt me, but you may not see it because I'm saying F you,
right,
right?
right,
But you're not seeing it that way. It could come out as tears. That's a different, that's a different reaction. But, it's a little easier for us to see the tears and not be upset by the tears,
right.
right? So
Hmm.
if we can just look at all of it as they're hurting and they're sad and they want, like we talked about a little bit earlier, they want a solution to this. And we
Hmm.
look at it from that perspective, it does change it. It changes it.
Hmm.
And it comes with practice. But we need to know that we're here to help others, not to judge them and say, what is wrong with that person? Why are they
Right.
yelling at me? They're yelling because they're sad. They're yelling because they're
Hurt.
scared. There's
Yeah.
fear. They're hurt. There's a feeling that's coming out as anger.
Yeah. Wow. We've all had that, I feel like, at some point in our workplace, regardless if it's a school or a
100%.
customer or,
Absolutely.
somebody coming at, and I feel like that's probably been taught too. That could be a whole nother episode, that's how they've been taught to express a
I'm
difficult
sorry. He's been
situation.
trying to get attention for like so long, and
Oh,
I
hello, it's
can't, I
me.
can't, I just can't. He's interrupting and he's meowing and he's like, Mom, you're ignoring me.
He's like, I want to be in the show too.
Sorry.
So I just feel like all of this information is just so helpful and it's so important. And I know you and your daughter are like doing this work. And I have to say, I just love that she's doing the Reiki too and sees that,
Mhm.
not that you don't, but I feel like our existence, everything is energy. We've already talked about that, but
Right,
it's all
right,
mind, body, soul, spiritual, emotionally, physically, mentally. It's
right,
all
right,
a composite of who we are,
right.
and it just to
Absolutely.
kind of tune them all. It's like a tune up, just kind of being in tune with our physical body, our emotional body. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Or
Oh,
she.
sorry. But he hasn't stopped meowing.
So I think just getting ourselves in check with all of those energy bodies that we all have. So I just love that she's in tune with the Reiki, the healing too modality.
Yeah, she's amazing, and I wish she could have been here, and she wanted to be here so badly, and she just couldn't. She couldn't log on today. But what she adds to all of my experience is unbelievable. And when you think of her age, but she's always been an old soul, right?
Yeah.
I was always called an old soul, but now I watch her and I know what that means. She's so in tune with people's energies, and
Mm.
she's just been incredible. So one of the other things that we haven't talked about, we also do, they're called holistic wellness workshops.
Oh, okay.
So those holistic wellness workshops, we have something coming up actually in 2 weeks. We're working on, it's called Heart Strong Heart Chakra Healing. And
Oh,
so, we really, that is just very holistic, and we bring all of our mats, and that's where, I do my sound bowls, and we really do guided journaling and guided meditation. And it's a 90-minute real holistic, and we work on all of the chakras. So this gym asked us to actually the gym I go to asked us to come in and do a workshop on the 22nd for heart health
I
and
love that.
Valentine's Day and that whole thing. So we're really working on the heart chakra, but then she'll really focus with her Reiki. But it's just absolutely beautiful, and her meditations are gorgeous. And we really do a lot of manifesting through our journaling, and we have people really turn in sometimes for the first time
Ugh.
about what they want and what it feels like to be their future self. And in these holistic 90 minutes dedicated just to self love, is truly unbelievable. It's unbelievable when you watch someone for the first time see themselves in their future self.
Oh,
That's another beautiful event, and it's
it
amazing.
sounds amazing.
It's
And
amazing.
it's like cracking open. And I'm sure there's tears. And
Always. Mhm.
and I could speak for myself. I've always been a people. I feel like that's something I'm heart-centered, but just always working on that. I remember one time someone asking me in my earlier journey, "What is it that you want?" And I couldn't answer. I cried.
Right.
And
Right.
just having somebody ask you that, because I don't know if I was ever asked. I was always told,
Mhm. Mhm.
this is what you're
Oh,
doing,
and
or
we
this is you.
push. We push. We push. We say, where are you? What does it smell like?
Oh,
What does it
I
look
love
like?
that.
What does it feel like? And it's dim, and we have our music, and they're journaling, and we say, just keep writing. I said,
Keep
and
going.
nothing is out of reach.
Oh,
Nothing. And
I just
when
have
they're writing,
chills.
you can just see the tears. And then we bring them back at the end with a guided meditation where they now envision themselves. And Laura takes them from their core and from their chakra all the way up through the universe and back
Just
down.
release it.
And so
Oh,
they really
it's
feel it.
so
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh my goodness. So
And then
listeners,
she ends it with
get
Reiki just to seal it. It's beautiful. Yeah. The events that,
so
so we're
heart-centered.
really proud of the business that we've built because it goes right from those holistic, beautiful workshops that are so, again, so deep, all the way to how is it that we're going to deal with that screaming mom walking in, right?
I,
Or that nasty boss, right?
I,
Or our own dreams. How is it that we're building on our dreams and our goals? So it's a business that is so fulfilling, and I'm in love with it.
I could tell you're like
I'm in
glowing. I
love
keep
with
seeing like you're glowing, and I
I'm
just
in
see like
love
this
with
little, I don't know if you can see, you've got like this green orb behind you,
Do
even. So
I?
you do. It's on that side, but I can see.
Do
So I
I?
mean, you are speaking your truth, you're speaking your passion, you're speaking your gifts, and it's just
Oh,
coming through you. And so, yeah, is there anything that we have not touched upon that you feel like you really want to just tell the listeners today in this moment? Because we're in such a heavy space. And it doesn't really have to be that way. And for me, I spoke this to you before we got on the call. I just my big phrase right now is to rise above. I feel like that's been my kind of go-to is just rise above it. Um, if you can, and find ways to get centered and go in and quiet and turn off the news and read a book. Like find the things that are going to find you peace and joy here.
right.
Because it's all going to be okay. I keep saying, I see things. I'm like, it's just let the noise kind of go by, the
Right.
energy, because in the end, everything is going to work out. And being in the unknown and being in changes, it can be scary. And
It's
I think you can
scary.
honor those feelings and
Mhm.
acknowledge those feelings. I'm not saying not to feel that, but I think we can get ourselves caught up and it consumes us. So if it starts to consume, that's when we just need to step
Absolutely.
back.
Yeah, yeah. And so I do love what you're saying in regards to just kind of letting things go because it's going to be okay. So I'd like to push your audience a little further
Yeah.
because a lot of times um, it can be heard as it's going to be okay and just
Right.
it's just trust. That's hard. That's really difficult thing to hear and to process. And then because that's not helping the feeling, right? So
Mm,
sometimes I like to say, choose one thing you can do today. Choose one thing you can do today to make you feel better.
mm,
So if it's something that's happening in the world and our political, state that we're in, and or something with your relationship or something at work, what is one thing you can do today? And before you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed in the morning, I want you to first recognize all of the good, be grateful for all of the good. And before you get out of bed, then say, okay, I appreciate all of this. God, source energy, give me the words and wisdom to go with this one goal I have today. It
Mm.
may be that you become part of a community for something that you believe in that you feel is not going well in the world right now.
Yeah.
Just go online and Google, can I join this community? Join a community. I guarantee you, once you hit send and you become part of that community, you haven't even gone to a meeting yet. Your feeling is going to be better because now you feel that you're making a change. If it's something in your home that's not going well, something with a partner that's not going well, God, source energy, give me the words to have with this person in order for me to feel better before the end of the day. And do that one thing. And just by doing that one thing, you will feel better.
Yeah.
That one thing at work, what is it that I can do today? God, source energy, give me the words to do this at work today. And again, before you get the result of that one thing, just because you've moved in that direction, you will feel better. So I'll say
Move
to
the
your
energy.
audience,
Yes.
yeah, I'll say to your audience, instead of just waiting for it to get better, take one little step towards what you want to do. Just one little step every day. And just by taking that step, you will feel better.
I love that. Yes. And it's interesting. I do that. It's like, these are the things I do. I always forget,
Mhm.
when you're in that life or you're,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I love that one little step,
One little step. That's
that one
it.
little step of reaching out to you. Look where we are here
Brought us
together.
here.
You
Exactly.
become that feeling becomes, again, that feeling is energy.
Mhm.
And that feeling can be a magnetic force
Absolutely.
of receiving beautiful things. Like receiver, you become a receiver of a higher frequency. And I love
Absolutely.
just that one little step. I'm going to remember that. So thank you. Guys,
One
get
little
that.
step.
One step,
One little
taking
step.
that one little baby step. Move the needle just
Absolutely.
one little step at a time. And then
Absolutely.
watch the opportunities and the abundance just
Right.
come flowing in. They've been there in front of your nose the whole time.
Absolutely. The whole time. The whole time. Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Oh my
love it.
goodness, Lydia. I think we can talk and talk forever, but I think you really have offered some beautiful wisdom and you are an old soul and you're beautiful. And I'm just keep doing the work. There just need to be more people. And I feel like the ripple, the
Thank you.
ripple.
You are the
Keep
ripple. You're
being
the
the
ripple.
ripple.
You're the ripple. You keep these conversations going, Christine. I think it's really beautiful. And every time you invite someone on and they're sharing, you're the guide. You're doing it. So I thank you for the platform for us
Yeah.
sharing this. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be sharing. So
Yeah.
so you really are doing it. And I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you. So before we sign off, so thank you for that because that's how I feel like I'm stepping in. I just feel
You
like
are.
it's not about me. This platform, this show it's not about me. And I've kind of stepped out of that role. It's about the collective. It's about sharing. It's about saying, yes, you and your daughter are doing the work and teaching others to step up, right?
Well,
And
thank
and
you. Thank you.
holding that
It
space for
feels that.
others to step up.
Yes.
Because we're never alone. And I think
No.
if anyone is listening right now, you're not alone ever.
Right. No, 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 no. And they can always reach out to me.
Reach out. So Lydia, how can they just really quick before we hop off, where can they, get your services, your programs that you talk about, your coaching, your just lead us to that. I will put it in the show notes so you guys can
Okay.
look at it in the show notes, but
Mhm.
just tell us right now where can we find you
Yeah,
to get
they
with
can go
your
to,
programs?
yep, enlightened life coaching.com is our website. And if they go on there, they can actually just fill out a little questionnaire and they can even just have a conversation with us, 15 minutes of to see if even if coaching would be something for them. If they'd like to bring us into their their workplace or to their family. And we do group coaching, we do relationship coaching, we do, our passion really is going now and speaking to big groups, but we can never
Yeah.
stop what we started with. And those were the one-on-one coaching sessions and, holistic workshops. So if they just reach out to us, I'd love to have the conversation. And of course, it's always a free conversation just to see if it's even the right fit. and to see
Yeah.
if they're even ready. And,
And
they can just call and say, listen, this is what's happening at work. Do you think this is something that you can do for us? I will send them the information, give them all of our details. We actually, I think on our website, actually, we do on our workshop, on our website, we actually have um, an outline of what a workshop looks like. So they can even go there and see what a workshop looks like. And it's an outline. But yeah, but a conversation is always great. So
yeah,
they
to
can
see
always
if it
reach out and
aligns.
I send them the Calendly and we can have a nice conversation. We can see how we can help.
I love that. So, guys, get in with Lydia. She is amazing. Get that conversation, see if it aligns. How would you? I think every workplace could use this regardless of where you are. So, do you travel too? You'll
We
just
do. Oh yeah, we travel, everywhere.
awesome. So, yes, check it
I don't
out.
want to scare anybody, but we were just in France doing some work there. So,
Wow, that's
yes, yes, yes,
awesome.
yes. So it's,
We,
it's just about connecting with people that need it. And, it sounds crazy that we would go anywhere, but we really would go anywhere. It just
yeah,
makes sense to us and it feels so good. And then when you think about it at the end, it's like the flight, the stay, the this. And at the end, I'm like, I don't care. Man,
yeah.
that felt good. And we really did help. So that's really what it's about. That's why, yes, we travel anywhere.
That is amazing because I feel like when it's aligned and it's meant to be come through, it's going to be there. So
Yeah,
it's all in
100%.
alignment. It's all back to that
I believe
energy and
that.
alignment.
I
So,
believe that. I believe that.
well, thank you, Lydia, so much for your time
Thank
today.
you so much. I have such a good feeling in my heart when I'm with you. So thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
So until next time, please check out my podcast. And I will be putting this, well, it's going to be on YouTube, but yes, this is going to be on YouTube and any streaming platform. So until next time, I will see everybody in a loving dimension. All right, take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.